Today we continue the speedrun. We are starting from 750. Let's see how far we can get. I will explain the key ideas and typical plans as we go, so I hope this will be interesting and instructive. All right, let's start. Welcome. E4. Okay. So let's play Italian game. And C3. The idea is to play D4. Okay, D4 is the old main line, but let's play D3, which is nowadays the most played move. And the idea is to play this later. We will develop our pieces and then we will play D4. Okay, here there's many ways to play, but okay, maybe rook here, bishop g5, even h3 is quite useful move, but we can start with rook e1 because it provokes knight g4, and then we have rook e2 and black will lose tempo. So maybe this is the best way to play here. Okay, b5. This is kind of Ruy Lopez Italian game hybrid now, but it's still okay. This is almost the same if bishop was on b5, a6, bishop a4, and b5. And if you have a thought that why bishop goes to on b3 and then later on c2 if knight jumps here, the reason is that this is much better diagonal. But if knight jumps here, then we can keep the bishop, and then knight is a little bit misplaced on a5, and we can later play b4, and bishop can return to b3, and then we have a great diagonal. Sometimes it's not an option, and then we can try to push d4, and this diagonal might be useful as well. Okay, I think black is not ready for this kind of move yet, because e5 is not defended by pawn. So usually instead of this, black plays d6 and then later this one. Okay, I could take here, but let's play this because when d6 happens, we will have more instructive game, I think so. Of course, the best move is to take here and play d4, because then we will have strong center without problems. Okay, now b4 will lose piece, but I think I can still try to make this more instructive, or maybe not. Let's play this way. But if knight returns here instead of bishop b7, then we could go for d4 immediately, or play something like bishop g5, knight here, knight will go here and here in many cases. So this is quite typical in this structure. Okay, if we play bishop d2, then our rook is hanging, so we need to take here. But now e5 is hanging again, so let's take it this time. And now our knight will return. Bishop b2 is very useful move. Now we can take even more material. If knight jumps here, it's not safe, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, let's develop pieces. Usually it's the best idea. And now we can trade even more. when you are up in material, it's very good idea to trade pieces. So we can even trade here and then play knight d5. It's quite interesting tactics, but let's do this first. I mean, maybe this is easier way to play. Okay, he tries to take this bishop, and now if we take here, this might lead something. There is a double threat, so let's keep things simple with bishop g3. We are up a piece, so we don't have to make things too complicated. Okay, now we can trade queens. Or even better trade is to play h3, because now there is no threats, and black has to take here. There is no other ways to continue, I guess, because if knight goes here, we can take here, and knight is out of play. Now we have to speed up a bit. Okay, he resigned already. Okay, let's play more. Good morning, welcome. Let's play d4 this time. Now we can go in e4 openings, but let's play c4 this time. So this is going to be some kind of King's Indian, or maybe not. Okay, these kind of systems are quite common, even higher levels, because in Blitz, I mean, because black can play something like this, and if white just plays something quite natural, there is no way to get benefits from this slow opening play. So usually the best idea is to take quick actions, h4, h5, and try to make some weaknesses on black's position. But of course we can play bishop d3, queen e2, and I will do that in this speedrun game. But because it's easier to handle, white is still better, and the idea is not to get too excited about this space advantage, and if white plays too early e5 or d5 or c5 ideas, then those pawns might get weak. So let's develop and make things easier that way. Short castling is of course an option, but of course long castling as well, because then we can launch this attack, and I think it's not too hard to play that kind of idea. Of course, if you want to play more positionally, then short castling is your choice, but now I think there's no enough counterplay if we just take this pawn. Don't have to be afraid, because this space advantage gives some protection for king. King p1, rook c1 is very common idea in this kind of positions. Then we will put our bishop here to get even more protection on queen side. Now this is quite good positional idea. Now we can try to kick this queen out and then put rook c1, for example. Okay, let's do that. Or maybe we can even take here, because e6 is hanging, but okay. He has to take with pawn, I guess. and then we can trade queens. Usually it's the best idea when you are up in material. Okay, queen b5 looks quite good. Queen d6 is of course an option. So maybe we will play this first, because queen takes e6 tries to trade queens, and he didn't see that one. So at least I think so, because there is no point to make this kind of sacrifice. There's only one check, we can trade even more, and now we are 2 pawns up. Okay, this piece was hanging, and then rook here. Now I have e-file, and then this doesn't matter here. We can do this and that. Actually, it makes hard to play with this knight. If knight jumps here, then d5 is hanging. Okay, let's put another rook here. Usually, it's the worst place for knight, this corner. So black should play something like this to avoid those problems. Now I try to get great outpost on f5. We will find that. And then there is no moves, because after a rook here, we can even play g4, because after... Okay, let's put the other knight on h4 and then f5. There's even this kind of tactics, because after this knight will drop, but it's out of play anyway, so we don't have to hurry. Oh, is there even checkmate? Not yet. Oh, I could take this. Okay, anyway, but everything will work here, I guess. And now we use this pin. d5, and this bishop is not getting anywhere, so the easiest way is to promote this pawn, or maybe in practical play g3 first to prevent any kind of pre-move action. And then we can just play this here, because then we can save time. There's no stalemate ideas, and now we can just put our pawn to b8. Okay, let's see a few key moments from that game, because I think there is few ideas that I can explain. For example, here, I think in my own games I could even start with h4, but I'm not sure. Maybe bishop d3 is a good choice. It's better than bishop e2, I guess, because then I have easy way to castle long, and this gives some I mean, this diagonal might be even more useful than this one. And here, h4 is my recommendation if you want to play more active way, because if black castles here, we are ready for h5 already. If black tries to open up the center, we can close it, take here and play e5, c5, d5, and our king is not in danger. But when we open up this h file, we can even get checkmate in 5 moves or so. So this is the way to play. Okay, if black plays something like h5 here, then this gives some extra ideas for white. White can even play something like bishop e3, knight jumps here. It's very hard to play f6. There is no h6, and we can play g4 later, or just castle here, put rook here, and g4. And this is one option if you want to play a very active way. Okay, let's start. I mean, let's move on to the next game. Let's play e5 this time. Okay, Ruy Lopez. This is not the best idea, because e5 cannot be taken. We have queen d4. So this idea works until white plays d3. So now we have to defend the e5. Usually b5 is the idea to be the best idea, I mean, in Ruy Lopez. And now we can play bishop e7 or bishop c5. Okay, let's play bishop e7. Okay, this is clearly a waste of time. It attacks here with 2 pieces, but we can castle, and this is quite common mistake in this level. So usually it's even good idea to provoke this one, because if you play h6, then white can't do this mistake. So in practical point of view, it's good idea to give your opponent chances to go wrong. Now, of course, white has to take. I think computer evaluation might be something like black is already winning, but it's not so easy. But why rook and pawn is not as good as minor pieces in this kind of position? If you want to think that for a while, you can think, and of course, if you want to give your answer in chat, go ahead. I will explain that soon. First few moves, and then okay, I will put my king here. And then taking with pawn is a good option. Bishop e6, developing pieces. Then queen d6, rook here is a good choice. Okay, maybe queen d6 first. I think white tries to get knight d5 or taking here and knight d5, but it doesn't harm black's position. I think so. Okay, but back to that question I asked. There is no open files. Okay, now we have one open file, but it's not very easy to use rooks in this kind of position where there is no chances to use rook's power. So now he sacrificed a pawn, but there's no clear way to continue. Okay, rook takes here is a threat, but now we can trade queens and try to keep those files closed. We will have some edge with two minor pieces against rook and pawn, but now he doesn't even have that pawn because he sacrificed it. Oh, okay, this is clearly a big blunder, but we will check a few key moments after queen d4. As I said, computer says that this is already winning for black. f4, it's probably a good practical chance, because if I take here, then white might get some chances to open up the position. But if I play d6, then if he takes, I will take, and then there's only f file, and that is the reason why black can use his minor pieces much better than white can use rook and pawn. Anyway, here I think the idea with queen d6, rook here, something like knight d4, b5 maybe, or h6, something like that. It's quite easy game for black, and if white plays a4, we can play b4, not to give any chance to open a file, because that can give some counterplay for white. Okay, to the next game. e4. Okay, now we have French defense. e5 is probably the easiest way to meet French defense. Knight c3 is of course an option, and I personally like play this one because Winawer French is very interesting line, but maybe it's easier to play this line, so let's play it in this speedrun game. Okay, and now just bishop e2. Black usually tries to get some chance to win this d4, so we have to be ready for that. But okay, now I think knight e7 is a mistake, because we can take here and give e5 and try to take b4, c5, c3 pawn structure, which can give some chance to keep black in cramped position. So here probably d takes c5 is the best move, but we can do a3, b4 here as well, and then if knight lands here, bishop b2. It's quite a common idea. I think it works here, but I think in my own games I could and would take here. If a5, then b4. Now this is probably black's idea, or castling and f6, and f6 is a very common idea in French defense. But against this kind of knight, we can play g3 and h4, h5 to put this knight on h8, and that might be the best idea, because now there is no rush for castling. We don't have to castle. We don't have to develop these pieces yet, but we can attack to this knight by playing this active idea. I think it's a good one. Good morning. Yes, I'm still without coffee. Coffee. Okay, let's play h5. Okay, now we have few different options. Maybe bishop f4 is the best to keep position more closed, or if we take here, he can take with bishop. Oh, I have to speed up. Okay, my rook defends this one, so let's play knight here. Let's take this with knight. Okay. There's no e5, so... Okay, what is this? Now we can castle here as well, but we see that this knight is out of play. Okay, let's see a few key moments from that game. Oh, here I said I would take here in my games. According to the computer, castling is the best, but okay, let's see. And if knight jumps here, then probably bishop here, and then later b4. This is quite equal, but it leads to an interesting position. Anyway, this is probably even better chance, and now b4 is an option, of course, but maybe it's the best to play h4 immediately against this knight, because if bishop goes here, we are ready for h5, and then knight has to retreat here, I guess. If knight jumps here, okay, we can trade it and play something like h6, and then there is lots of weaknesses, and that can lead some attack later on. Knight will go here later. Of course, we have to be sure that d4 is not dropping, but then we will trade these bishops, and queen will go here in kind of dream scenario, but I think white can do many things here. Anyway, b4, g3, h4, and if black doesn't do this, then we can just play h5. This knight is really bad here, and then we can just develop. We can put our king to g2, and this is quite good position, and I think quite easy to play. Okay, let's move on. I think that was it. Let's play c5 this time. Hello, welcome. I think you will learn a lot if you follow this speed run and my streams in general, because I explain while I'm playing, and I try to be instructive and so on. So nice to have you here. Okay, this is quite easy way to play. Just put your knights here, c5, d6, e6, bishop here. White doesn't do much here with extra move because he has played d3. So position is already quite equal. Maybe he tries to play b4, but we can do well with b6 or a6, b5. d5 is an option if you like to play more open game. There is e file open, and that's one way to play here. We can play even e5 if we want to go kind of Italian structure, or maybe even, okay, I think d5, e5, a6, b6, many options, but this bishop can go here before d5 action. But if we play bishop here, we are not going to play e5. Okay, maybe then if we can follow with d5, but let's start with this because it's very natural. And then b5. Now bishop has to retreat, and then maybe bishop b7. If pawn takes here, we will take, and then d6 might be a target. d3, I mean. Oh, this is clearly too passive, I think so. Okay, this is very good diagonal if white can play something like d4, e5, but I tried to prevent that. So if we play d5, then white can play e5 and then d4, and that will works. I think it works for white, but now we see that bishop is here. So usually the best idea is to try to get some benefits from that bishop move, and I think e5 is now the best because then this bishop is passive and he doesn't have chance to play d4. Now we are ready for a5, and then white has to release this tension somehow, and we can play d5 later. Okay, maybe c4 is an option here actually, but then okay, he will get 3 pieces here, so okay, I made a mistake because I didn't see that one. I should play queen c7 first or something like that. Now we are in trouble, so have to find some kind of solution here. Okay, it's not so easy. Okay, I tried to play on queen side and against this bishop, but this is not what I tried to get. Sometimes things are not going in your way, but somehow he didn't take this one. Now I'm fine again, and actually I think much better because this pawn is kind of weakness, and this pawn is very strong in many endgames. And now I think there is no reason to rush. I can put my bishop here if needed. There is no clear way to do anything on king's side, so I have time to regroup my pieces, or maybe I can start with f5, because if this diagonal opens, then we will have oh, knight will jump here. Okay, let's take that away. And now, if white doesn't find any plans, we are ready for even this kind of attack. Sometimes in e4, e5 openings, this plan works very well. For example, in Italian games, this is very good square for knight. It hits here, and then that's why g3 is not an option. We can take here and win a pawn. So we didn't get chance to create an attack, but we won a pawn, and it's very good. Anyway, okay, let's play f5 now, because this diagonal is very good for us. Actually, if white takes, we have knight d4 check, and then white position is getting too weak. Rook here, or maybe bishop goes here, because we can't open up this diagonal anymore. Now f3 is the idea, so I don't want to allow this one, so I will sacrifice this pawn, because I see that I will win this g4 now. Okay, he didn't took that one, but if he takes, we have rook f8. And the rook will go to f4. This should be... Okay, actually, it's not so easy. But these pieces are wrong side. So, okay, f3. Maybe the sacrifice was played too early, because I didn't get anything, but now he played the wrong way. Now this diagonal opens up, and if he takes, we will have discovery attack, and then this queen will drop. Okay. Now queen will enter. And checkmate. Okay, let's see a few things about the game. How you can predict the opponent's moves before them. You can't actually, but if he doesn't do the best moves or even good ones, everything else suits you. That is the way to think in chess overall. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is the first line of the computer, but d5 is also an option. I think e5 is also an option, but it gives some edge for white, because this diagonal is now open, and that's why usually it's not a good idea to open up this diagonal if bishop is on c4. So that is the reason why e4, e5 openings bishop is well placed on c4, but for example in Karogan defense, it will lose a tempo, and against French defense, it will lose a tempo. So that's why it's not a good idea to put bishop on c4. But in Sicilian defense, there is some other reasons why you can play it, but it's not the best idea. But even top grandmasters plays e4 and bishop c4 lines against the Sicilian defense. But I personally don't recommend that kind of moves, because it's very hard to play with white pieces, and you will give some extra options for black. Okay, let's see here. I made a mistake after bishop b2. I should go for d5. This a5 looks interesting, but I played it too early. Didn't see that my e5 is going to get too weak. But if I play d5 immediately, then there is no that kind of option. I have a chance to take here between and then take here. If knight takes here, we will trade and take here. And now these bishops are not well placed, and I can put my knight here. These pawns are weak and so on. So black has quite a pleasant game here. But when I played this one, then white is a little bit better. This is kind of surprise for me that the edge is not bigger, because I thought that okay, this is the best move according to the computer, but somehow I thought that this might be even large edge for white, but somehow, okay, I can use these squares if I can trade these bishops. So the idea is to put knight here. If bishop returns somewhere, has to make this trade, and then this bishop is so bad that I can have even edge here, even I'm down a pawn here. Okay, let's move on. So e4, knight f3. Okay, this is kind of slow opening again. Usually it's the best idea for white is to play active way, like d4 immediately. And now, of course, we can play bishop c4, bishop b5, even d5. But if we play d5, the knight will go here, and then maybe it is something that your opponent wants to play, because then the position is closed and he can do something like g6, bishop c7, f5, and it's quite similar than what we can have in King's Indian. So if you want to play open games, don't do this too early. And if you have played knight c3, don't play d5, because then you can't play c4. Knight is here, so that might be even a mistake to play d5 in that kind of position. But here, if you play d5, you can play c4 and knight c3, and then you have c5 ideas later on. Okay, but what to play here? Maybe bishop b5, for example, because now it transposes to Steinitz variation. Black can take here, but then we will just take that. Okay, now he lost tempo here. Usually it's too much. I think we can take here, because this knight is pinned. So if he takes, we can trade here and take e5, and that is the reason why bishop g4 is a mistake. If we play d5, this might be even better. but there is b5, and then black can escape probably. Okay, let's take here. It looks the easiest way to play. If he takes here, then this pawn structure will be weak on queen side. Oh, where is it? Here, queen d7. Aha, okay. Now we can take another pawn. Now we are pawn up, but okay. Black can develop pieces, and it's not so easy. Aha, but somehow he didn't took here. That's a kind of surprise to me, but let's see. If queen takes, we can play even knight e5. If he takes here, we can take there, but it looks somewhat unnecessary because we can take here, and now we have great outpost on d5 for this c3 knight. We can do this immediately or after. Let's do it right away, because after knight f6 it's not an option, and this check is it's going to lose some time. Okay, have to speed up. e4 was hanging, so that's why I did this and okay. Now we don't have to castle anymore, because usually it's good idea to get king to the game, and here is it already. Bishop c3 is a good square for our bishop. Okay, now this is losing in 2 moves, like this. According to the computer, d5 is actually the best idea, but here it's not good idea to play knight c3, as I said. c4, and then we have kind of King's Indian position, where knight is on e7. It's not the best square for the knight, and that's why this is already clearly better if you like to play King's Indian. But if you play knight c3 here, then okay, it seems that white is still better according to the computer. But if you do that in those positions where you have bishop on c4, then you are getting some problems, because bishop doesn't belong on c4, and it's very hard to create play on queen side. Okay, let's make few moves to make it clear. For example, if knight f6, bishop c4, and the reason why black doesn't take here is that white is going to get some space advantage, and the reason why white doesn't take here immediately is that then black will have easy development, and white doesn't have much edge, and that's why it's usually good idea to keep this tension. Okay, anyway, if something like this happens now, then okay, d5 is still a good move, but I try to make a few moves to point out that okay, this tactics works now. Okay, let's see. I will do something. Okay, after d5, white is still better, but it's very hard to get this pawn here. And okay, black's position is not ideal for g6, f5, but and that might be the reason why white has still edge here, according to the computer. But if bishop is already here, then this kind of idea is not good. So play c4 if you want to do this, d5, and otherwise just keep this position open. Play a4, rook here, bishop g5, and so on. Okay, and then let's play more. Now we have 800. Let's play e5. Let's see, 6. Let's play Italian. Now when d3 was played already, we don't have to worry about bishop g5. We can even play h6, g5 and castle long. That's one line, but if we want to play something easier, we can just castle here. If bishop goes here, we can even play our bishop on e7. But now we can stop this. If we play d6 here, then bishop goes here, knight can jump here, and we might get some problems. So let's play this first. Okay, knight d5. If we take here, pawn will take, and this knight is in trouble, so e5 will drop, but we don't have to worry about bishop g5 anymore. So just d6, and then we will have bishop e6, or we can take here. So what is the downside with this maneuver? If you want to think for a while why it wasn't good idea to play knight c3, knight d5, and taking on f6. I will explain it soon. Okay, now this bishop trade might be good for white if I take here, because after pawn takes, then this f file is open and I have to move my queen, but there might be still some play on king side, so I can leave my bishop here and try to get something from this pin, because then knight d4 is an option, and in this kind of structure my knight might be much better than this bishop if this trade happens and this trade happens. I mean, in that endgame, at least there might be some chance to get at least small advantage. And this double pawn is not a weakness if we can play b6, and that is usually the case. We can just follow with b6 if needed, but this is not necessary, so we don't do that. c3 is necessary because knight d4 was already a threat. Okay, maybe white will play bishop d5. I would like to put my rook here, but I think I have to be ready for bishop d5, and my idea is to bring my knight here in that case, but I can start with knight e7, because then rook b8 is not necessary, because I don't want to play b5, then c5 might be a weakness later on. So knight here, the idea is to jump here, and if I can create this position, then this king side will fall. So that's why it's good idea for white to play h3 here. But now I could play this, for example, or go for endgame, because I think this structure is much better for black. I can put my knight here. It's very good square, and then he doesn't have much on king side. This will be a weakness. Oh, yeah, because I can take with rook. But I have to play g5, because otherwise I can't do this. Okay. Let's play g6. I try to demonstrate that I don't have to take this immediately. I have a positional edge here. I can put my rooks on d file and win this later in better circumstances. Okay, this was hanging, so I have to play f6. c6 is actually a good idea, because then there's no, the position is not so open, and that's why b5 is actually the best move here for white. I think so. I have to prevent d4. Oh, he just did it. Okay, c6. This is very common endgame. If you play something like 100 games, you will get this position with rook and knight versus queen versus bishop and rook 8 or 9 times. So it's very good idea to try to master this this kind of ending. Okay, he just lost his bishop, but anyway, it could be much better for black. I tried to trade those rooks. It will make this easier. That's why rook d4 is a good idea. Now my king will go here. To prevent this move. Okay. Oh, I forgot to answer that question about why knight c3, knight d5, knight f6 is a bad idea, but I will when we are there. So, okay, white is using 3 moves to trade this knight, and I just played one move, and other move is a developing move. So that is the reason why white is already a little bit worse here. Here, this position is already much better for black, and if white doesn't play c3, we have knight d4, and this position will collapse very soon. We will take here, and then maybe with knight, and if pawn takes, we take with bishop, and then queen will go to g2 in few moves. So that is needed now. Knight e7, and I will explain few things about this position. Okay, now my knight is here. He went here, and then I played rook here. Okay. I think here, if I take here immediately, then it might be, there might be some chance to get a draw, because this rook ending is not so easy to win. But I can do this later, and if you have similar situations in your game, just think, can you do this later, because it releases white's pieces, and it might white might get some chance to get some counterplay. But if we play these first, and if white plays something like that, it's very passive positions for white, and we can take this without trading our strong knight to this bishop. And one more thing here, I think white should play something like b5 to get some open files and create some play. But actually here c6 b5 is good for black, because d3 will drop, and this is a tactical reason why b5 is not good according to the computer. But if black can play c6, there is no b5 and no counterplay, and then we can do this and play b5 later if needed, but maybe not, because a6 is hanging. So probably the best idea is to take d3 on d3 in the right moment, or maybe play on king side as well, because if we play g5 and we will put our rooks here and knight here, then checkmate is a real thing in many lines. So I think there is full domination. Black can do everything here. Okay. Ooh. Okay, London system. Let's play easy way. Just put your pawns here. We will develop our bishop on b7, but usually it's a good idea to develop this king side first, because then we can castle if needed. Here this trade is an option. Let's do that. This is not getting weak because g3, but now we can play b6 c5, and there might be a weakness if we take here. This bishop might be a little problem like in French structures, but we might get chance to play b6 and bishop here, but have to be careful not to play that bishop a6 too early. If you want to think why this is a bad choice for black, if we do that immediately, for example after knight f3, you can give your answer in chat if you want, or just think along with me. I will explain it soon. The reason is there is tactical reason behind that. So if I do this, white can take here, and if we take with knight, then queen goes here. there is check, and this knight will fall. So castling is needed here, but it's very good move anyway. So now we are ready for bishop a6. And if we play bishop a6, we trade this bishop, which is the best minor piece in London system, and it might get some. I mean, white can have good chances on king's side if we don't trade this bishop. So let's do that. If bishop goes here, then white can't castle, and then we have had something else. We couldn't trade this bishop, but now white can't castle, so the best idea is to try to open up the center somehow, but e5 is not working. So let's start with c5, knight c6, queen here, and try to open up the c file. Then we might have some chance to open the center later. Well, let's play these moves first. This is very common idea. If you can play your bishop like this and your opponent can't castle, then you might get a very good very good chance in the center if there is a way to open up the center, but I'm not sure how we can do it here. But maybe knight e4 is actually an option here. If he takes, we will take. Pawn takes on c5. We can't take here because knight takes. So let's start with c takes d4, and now c file will be a good line for us if white tries to castle long. And now if he takes with knight, then e5 is an option. Maybe not yet, because he can take here and here, but later. But this is an idea for white. He tries to block this diagonal, so we have to take here first. Maybe he can take with knight, but now we are ready for e5. We try to open up this center, and if white takes here, then his king might be in danger already. If knight jumps here, then he can castle, but then we are pawn up. Okay, king d1, and what then? Maybe rook here. Rook here, we can collect few pawns. Oh, this is also an option if rook goes e1. Oh, queen e3 is probably the move he is thinking. Okay. Knight jumps here. The idea is to get very strong bishop on d3. We don't have anything from e-file, but if we get bishop here, these rooks are not cooperating, and we can do something on queen side or king side. So this looks very strong, but maybe we can do this first to avoid any kind of f3 ideas. If he plays f3, maybe we play f5, because this pawn is actually very strong one, and this outpost is very strong also. Okay, let's do this. Knight can't jump here. Okay, let's double those rooks. I will take with bishop now, because his king is more vulnerable here. Actually, he plays quite well here. It's very difficult position, and he finds all those moves to make things more difficult. Okay, what is this? Oh, g4 was actually a move there. Well played. Okay, I think there was no need to go in details in this game, so let's play more. Oh, if you want to play against me, tomorrow is your day, because tomorrow I will play with viewers. Today I tried to explain these ideas. This is Speedrun, and it's a little bit different. Okay, if we take here, knight c6 is a position where black has more compensation than in this line, because now we have extra option. When we take here, after bishop d7, there is no knight c6. So that's why this is better option. I think black should take here immediately, because now we can take here and trade queens, or if he takes with pawn, then we don't have any problems, or at least those problems are not so big than might be in those main lines where black might get even good compensation. Okay, we are pawn up, so have to develop quickly, and we can trade some pieces. If we castle here, then there might be some threats like bishop b4, rook c8. So maybe the best idea is to castle short and play quickly, like bishop d3, knight e2, and so on. Okay, let's start with this move. Okay, I would like to play bishop here, but when he takes here, this pawn is getting weak. We can do this if this passive position is only a temporary thing. So if we can play a3, b4, and then knight jumps here, then knight e2 looks quite good. I think we can do it. But if there is in those positions where queens are on the board, this kind of move can be very dangerous, because then you can't move this bishop, and that might lead in trouble. Okay, if we go here, black probably plays g5 and knight e4, so when we are pawn up, we can trade here and try to get our pieces in play. If this happens, then we are happy, and if this happens, then we are ready for b4, knight f4, and the main idea is to develop and trade black's bishop pair, and I think we can do that. Okay, where to put this bishop? I think e2 might be the best square because f3 is very natural place, and if we put our bishop on d3, then there might be some rook d8 plans, which can give some play for black. Okay, rook d1 looks quite natural. If we castle, then rook d2 is a problem. But maybe first bishop f3, because it hits here and prevents knight d5 or bishop d5 ideas. Okay, this is not the best square for our knight. The better square is to put it here, but maybe we can trade all those and it leads to an endgame with 4 rooks, I guess, but okay. I played this one because knight d4 looks very strong. It prevents those rook c2 ideas, and now we can trade even here because this knight is so strong in the center. Black's bishop is quite good also, but we are pawn up, so I like white's chances here. Very strong knight. It covers this square and attacks everywhere. Okay, h3 is something. Let's play f4. Okay, now we won a piece, but I think position was already better for, much better for white. I will explain few ideas how to play in that position if black doesn't lose piece like that. We don't have to trade pawns. Usually it's better to keep as many pawns as possible on the board if you have extra piece, because if you trade those pieces and then you find yourself in position where you have only a piece and without pawns, then it's draw. So if you are not sure, don't trade. Like this. Now we can make checkmate with knight because there's some moves left. It's quicker way. Here, if pawn takes on d5, of course, queen takes d5 is the best move here. But if you want to play that kind of position where black doesn't have much counterplay, you can play like this. And then if knight c6 happens, queen d3, and just don't take this one. Develop your pieces. Was it queen d2 and e3, bishop here, or maybe sometimes on b5 and castling and play like in a typical isolated d-pawn position, but this is not the best line because it gives black quite decent game. Anyway, in our game, this is clearly better. And now I think I have time for knight e2. Yes. Okay, this is a threat here, and I don't want to trade these minor pieces, because then black's rooks are so active that probably pawn is not enough for win, and that's why I played f4 here. Maybe it's not the best, because then there are some squares and diagonals, and I was considering f3, because if bishop goes here, this is not threatening anything after rook f2, and then it will lose a tempo. So don't do this kind of threats, because you are going to lose some time. And if white plays something like rook d2, king f1, bishop has to retreat, and after king f2, white can slowly make some process. Maybe taking here, and then rook will enter, and then if white can win more pawns with good rooks, then it's okay to trade these minor pieces. But if black doesn't do that kind of mistakes, then just king f2. Okay, what black can do? Maybe rook c7 or something. We can trade few rooks like this, and then play something like rook d1 first, or e4, king here. And we are probably not going to trade these rooks immediately, but we can play this common endgame with the rook, knight, and king versus king, rook, and bishop. If you are going to practice some end games, this is very good training position. I mean, material-wise, of course, with equal pawns might be even better. Okay, let's play c5 now. d6, bishop b5, and now bishop d7, or knight d7. Probably white tries to play e5 here. I have seen this idea also my own games. Even grandmasters plays these ideas sometimes, but I think black's position is still a good one. Now we can play e5 to prevent d4, but we can also allow this and go in dragon structure with g6, bishop c7. If you play this kind of structure with bishop g7, don't play e6 if you are not sure that it's good, because after d4, d6 might get weak when bishop is here and not e7. So if you play e6, play bishop e7. If you play g6, don't play e6. This is playable. Knight c5 hits here, but maybe we just put our rook on c6, a6, b5, and so on. King h1, a very common move in Sicilian structures. The idea is to play f4, and then there is no tactics on this diagonal, but f4 is not too threatening in this position because there is no e5, or f5 gives a great outpost on e5. So this is very good version for black, and that's why king h1 was probably already a big mistake, because if white plays something like bishop e3, then white's position is okay, but now there's some problems already. I don't want to take here because my e7 is quite weak, and okay, maybe it works because there is no rook e1, but queen e2 leads to bishop takes d4, queen takes here. These both are weak. I could play e5. Okay, I think that might work in this case, but I try to demonstrate that white's position is not ready for queen b6, because this knight is hanging, b2 is hanging, this pawn might get weak, and so on. So here it was mistake to use time for knight d5, king h1, and so on. Okay, now I can't take here immediately, but I think this pawn will drop if I just play something like knight f6, queen b5. If I start with this, c6 might be a good choice. So let's play this first. There's no c4. Now I can collect few pawns. Maybe he can also, but I will win more pawns. That's why I think I can do this. But maybe even better is to play queen here, because these are weak still, and I can take d5, and I don't want to trade pieces, I mean pawns here without good reason. Okay, let's take this one. Now we can trade. This is hanging. Now we can play e6, d5, and we can keep our knight here. Okay, we don't want to trade those knights too early. There is no f3. How to break this position? The idea is to play minority attack. Okay, he played b4, so this is going to drop. But even if the pawns are here, b4, a5, and so on, works well. I will show that after this game. It's very good idea to activate your king when you can do that like this. And this promotion will be decisive. Okay. Here. Oh. Okay, I can play like I did, but without b4. If white plays something like king here, I can play b5, king here, then even this one, and then push b4. But maybe not immediately, but let's see. This is just for example, but okay, it doesn't work here because b2 is not going to drop in this line. But maybe we start with knight c4, and now b4 will do the trick here, I guess. This is the plan, and now we see that the p pawn will be easy target like this way, and eventually it should drop somehow. But this is the plan when you try to make weakness on your opponent's position with minority attack. Okay, let's play e4. Okay. Okay, that was tactical mistake from my side if it was happening, but I tried to explain positional things, and that's why sometimes tactics, I don't see those tactics. But of course, tactics are very important in chess, so don't forget to check those tactics always. Okay, against Sicilian, usually the best idea is to castle long in every variation. White will get best chances in those lines where it castles long, and the idea is to launch this kind of attack with e4, f3 pawn structure, or if white plays f4, e5, then the plan is to play e5 or f5. But okay, that might not be everybody's choice, but let's play this game with that kind of fashion. Okay, black tries to trade a few pieces, but d6 is now weak, and black doesn't have a castle yet, so we can jump here immediately because this threat is too strong. If he takes here, we can take with knight if we don't see anything better, but even queen takes d6 with knight c7 is very strong, but probably it's not the way to play in this level. So maybe f3 instead of knight b5 is an option, or king b1, a very useful move in many positions. Now we can trade queens and take this fork, or just play this one. This is not the best, I think so, but I try to demonstrate that there's no time for trade this bishop, and actually this bishop is very useful because it guards this d6 pawn. Okay, now we can take this one. There's no reason not to take, but rook d8 is usually idea here, so we can try to trade queens now. We are pawn up, so usually it's the easiest way to continue. Okay, maybe queen c7 is the best practical chance for black. Okay, but he didn't want to do that. Okay, let's trade queens. And then f3 is usually good against bishop b7 because then there's no attack. And bishop is somewhat wrongly placed on b7. But we don't do this immediately because it's more important to develop this bishop. But if we play it here, then we will lose some tempos. But okay, then b6 is hanging after a6, so probably we can provoke this move. But if we are not sure, let's put it here. And we will keep this d file open. If bishop goes here, we have even rook d7. It hits the knight at is bigger threat than any kind of bishop takes e4. Actually, it's already defended by this knight, but this is very useful move in any case because then we can double our rooks on d file, and it's very useful. Okay, these pieces looks quite badly placed at the moment, but knight e5 and then black's position will be much better than before that. That's why I think white should go for f4 and not rook d1. Okay, if we take here, then white will, black will have very nice outpost on e5, so we don't let this happen, and that's why f5, maybe g3 was an option, but f5 looks quite good. In some cases, I can even play f6 later. Now we are ready for rook d1. Okay, g4, h4, g5 is a good way to play if we don't get anything from this file, but this is open file. If we use something like 3 moves, then we are going to give black some chances to trade rooks and get some counterplay, I think so. Okay, let's take here. Now this knight could go here, but maybe there's no time to do that. b4 threatens to win that knight. I don't want to allow this idea, so I will put my bishop on b5 and maybe I will bring it here. b4 is now a threat. Rook c8 is not available, so I think this position is already quite easy to convert. Okay, let's play more. Okay, we can play another game against him. Okay, let's play d5 this time. Castling is, of course, an option already. And then just put your knights on f6 and d7. Of course, f4 might be something, but we can take here and jump on e4. If you want to avoid this, don't castle, play this first. But okay, now this very common mistake in this level. Again, white is using many moves to trade pieces, and this helps black's position and development. We can play c5 immediately. We don't need that b7, b6 move. Maybe it's better to get bishop in here, but now we could do this without using any moves because it was just a trade. Okay. Now, what to do here? There's lots of different kind of plans. What we can do, we can just develop this way. Maybe even bishop c6. And we can take here and take here, and then there will be isolated d pawn, which can be weak. These pieces are not cooperating too well, so I think this might be the easiest way to get some advantage. There's a few pawns already hanging. Okay, now we will take this one if there is no tactics behind this castling. I think there is no anything we should worry about. So we have at least queen h4. If bishop goes here, maybe even queen here, we can trade queens because it hits here, or f3 weakens white position. Actually, this might be better because it might even lead to winning edge. Okay, let's do that. There is no chance to do this because then black has very strong play on king's side. Okay, f3 prevents knight g4, but after bishop f2 we have queen here. This would be nice, but we don't have that at the moment. But let's kick the knight, and then we have bishop d6. This bishop cannot be taken. There is check, check, and checkmate. Well known checkmate pattern. So let's try to get that position. Okay, we will have queen h5. Now this is hanging, so there is no ways to defend it if he doesn't want to do this, but then we can at least trade queens. Okay, this is something else, but still quite good for black, I guess. We can just trade here and here, and then e5 is kind of weakness. Okay, let's do that. It's practical way to play. Maybe knight d5 or knight e4 or knight d7. There's lots of... Oh, okay. These pieces might get weak if I don't trade it. Knight c5. Okay, let's do this first. I try to trade bishop pair, and then my knight will have a good tricks everywhere. Oh, if I take here, then we have opposite color of bishops, and that's not so good. But maybe should I go for it? Okay, let's do that. Oh, he can take here. Oh, I think that was a mistake, because he could go in that kind of ending where we have opposite color of bishops, and that's the best if you want to get a draw, because we are pawn up. So okay, but we are not up anymore. Oh, have to move. And now there is actually back rank problems, so I made some mistakes. I think as we can see, this is very common material balance. As we can see, this is already third game when we have rook and knight versus rook and bishop. I think this is going to be instructive ending if I don't play this in a wrong way, because this knight can maneuver and bishop is so bad. My active king is much better than... I don't have to take here. I can just put my knight here and then put my king even closer and put every pawn on light squares. Okay, I don't take this immediately, just to demonstrate that he can't really save these pawns, because I can operate like this. Okay, let's play more. At least we can play a few more. So we have had quite good run. 100 points in 2 hours. Okay, this is Scandinavian defense, and black plays something like bishop d7. It's quite passive way to play, but Scandinavian is very solid. You need to make some active play if you want to get some advantage. And usually this idea with f4, even g4, if you can castle long, is quite good option for white. I think in my own games I could play queen f3 or g4, f4 here, queen e2, or so on. But okay, I think we can still have something with short castling. But I think the best idea is to castle long and launch this active plan. Now we are not going to trade here because we have more space. Usually it's much better to keep pieces on the board if your opponent have less space, and that's why we follow with f4. If he takes, we will take with f pawn, and then we can create strong play on f file. This bishop might return to this diagonal, and now we try to keep this position that that black doesn't have any good moves. So maybe this is a threat, or maybe he tries to do this, but this is not an option. I think this is not working either. This bishop is bad. So I think it's time for a3 now, because it prevents that kind of moves which can liberate black's play a bit. Maybe taking with d-pawn is still an option for white, and then the idea is to play on d-file, but now we can create attack. This bishop is not well placed on d3, c4 anymore, so we can play it here, but maybe we should prevent queen h4, or maybe not. Maybe it's losing time because we can do this, and actually we can provoke this kind of move with bishop d3, or maybe knight e4. Which one is better? Okay, which one would you choose here? Bishop d3 or knight e4? Yeah, okay, this knight is very bad here. It doesn't go anywhere. Maybe the idea is to play this, but then dark squares are so weak. Here, I think I will do this in any case, because this knight, it doesn't do anything here, but this bishop might be useful here if black tries to play something like f6. And that's why knight e4 is better than bishop d3, even though I think in many positions we will do both. But as we can see now, there is a point to play. This is bigger threat than this, so we can do this. And then we have knight g5, or maybe we go in this direction, because we are not really going to get this one. We are going to get the king. Okay, we can even sacrifice the queen, bishop, but let's play this first. Okay, now this is hanging, but f5 was hanging in other cases. Okay, let's play c3. Now we are ready to go with queen. This will be something. Let's prevent this move. Okay, knight will go here, I guess. It's not so easy to break this position. Have to make some moves. Even though I think white is clearly clearly better here. Maybe queen f2. He can take this one because it opens up this position for my rook, and I can do this. Oh, is there some sacrificing ideas? Actually, there is, but it doesn't harm me too much. Okay, what to do now? Maybe knight here. Knight can jump here, of course, but oh, f6 will drop. So queen f3 is probably needed because it pins the knight. Now there is no tactics on h3, g5, knight here. Let's trade those queens that I can play faster. This rook is of course out of play. In master level, that is already quite a decisive point. Okay, what is this? This knight doesn't move yet. Okay, at least this was the threat. And then now oh, he can take here. I didn't see that one. But then I have king g2. Okay, let's play one more for today. Okay, e4, e5, knight f3. What we will have, let's play Italian. Okay, d3. Of course, knight g5 is an option. C3. Usually it's better idea to put a pawn here and not the knight, because okay, now this okay, why? I think black should play d6 before knight a5, but let's see. Here I can take with knight, and now we are just pawn up. But as I said, c3 is much better, or at least somewhat better than knight c3, because then white has a very good plan with c3, d4, which is not possible when knight is already on c3. So that's why in Italian many top players are playing c3, d3, and then this knight will go here, and then d4 will happen later, maybe after 10 moves or after 5 moves or something like that. But it will. Or maybe not in that case if black plays d5, but that's the main plan for white anyway. Okay, he tries to trade this bishop. Again, this is very sad knight. It's going to be a problem for black, so we don't have to worry about these trades, and actually it would be much better idea to play c5 and try to keep those bishops. Now white has very easy game. Okay, f6 tries to hit it here, but I think black's position is not ready for that. Well, we can play this first, because if he takes, we have tactics, and if he doesn't take, we have e6, e7. So let's try to do this. Actually, we are threatening also bishop takes g5, knight here, and queen takes f8. Interesting. Maybe we go for this, because black has to take here, and then bishop h6, and we have very good position. Bishop is better than knight here in any case, and then even e6 looks very strong here, or we can take this, of course. Okay, let's take it. And now maybe queen here, f5 we can take, because rook can't take. There's queen takes g7. And now we can play e6, I guess, because rook has to go here. Oh, okay, this switched me as well. But if rook goes here, we can take, and another rook will join into action. So this is, of course, easy win for white. And this will be the easiest way to convert this advantage. Tomorrow I will play with viewers, so if you want to challenge me, Thursday is your day. Same time, and I try to explain my thinking as we go, so that is going to be instructive also. Okay, I think we are done for today. We got something like 140 points or 20 points. Yeah, okay. And in next Wednesday, we continue this speed run. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Take care.